It's no question that one of the hottest topics in professional wrestling right now is the Bloodline, whether it be Jey Uso and Roman Reigns, or Jimmy Uso turning on Jey Uso, or Roman Reigns in general. There's one member of the Bloodline that I feel like people don't talk about enough, and it's because he doesn't talk very often. But the silence creates this intrigue to him. And I feel like that intrigue might lead to something big. And that person is Solo Sikoa. Before we start though, let me know what y'all think about the hat, the 5 out of 7 star hat. My concept, this is a part of the Suplex merchandise piece that will be dropping very soon. If you guys like it, we'll drop it even sooner. But I wanted to talk about Solo Sikoa because I've been sitting on this for a minute now. Because in the midst of this whole bloodline turmoil between the Usos and Roman Reigns, one person who remains constant and always centered in what his role is Solo Sikoa. We've seen Jey Uso go back and forth internally, emotionally about what's right and what's wrong. Does he accept Sami Zayn as a member of the bloodline? Is Roman Reigns really using him, or is it all in his head? Should I justify my brother's actions for turning on me at the biggest moment in my career? Jey Uso is constantly thinking. He's always has this inner dialogue going on. Jimmy has inner dialogue, but he tends to make up his mind rather quickly. And I think that's a part of the gimmick, is that he acts on impulse a lot of times. He's a shoot first, ask questions later type of guy, but he's willing to sit down and have these conversations with people like Jey Uso about why he made his decision, or have a conversation with Roman Reigns on why he is no longer in the bloodline. He's more of an external communicator than an internal communicator, but he does tend to have this dialogue. I mean, all Paul Heyman does is talk, so that's a gimme. And Roman Reigns is the leader. He's the breadwinner. So when he talks, you know what he has to say is important. But Solo, he doesn't talk much at all. And anytime he does talk, it's very brief. We've never seen a fully fledged promo cut by Solo Sikoa in WWE on the main roster. And because he doesn't talk, he tends to fall into the background for a lot of people. And then for some, it makes you wonder, like, what's really going on in his head? What is he thinking about? And then when you think more about it, so little is known about Solo Sikoa from a storyline kayfabe standpoint. The only thing we know about this guy is that he is the youngest brother of Jimmy and Jey Uso, and that he's the cousin of Roman Reigns. That's it. Nothing else. His main roster debut was debuting alongside Roman Reigns at Clash of the Castle as the newest member of the Bloodline. And before you say anything, WWE has all but established that what you do in NXT basically does not matter, so we're not even going to count what he did in NXT. His entire character arc from the beginning is that one day he joined the Bloodline, and the rest has been history since then. He's been the bodyguard for Roman Reigns, the enforcer of the Bloodline. That's been his role. And the real Fatu behind the character, I think he serves it very well. But one piece of Solo Sikoa lore that's overlooked is the very first promo with his introduction, which comes from the September 23rd edition of SmackDown from last year, which we're going to take a look at right now.
But it wasn't my idea. It wasn't the tribal chief's idea. The idea for Solo is that Solo was sent by the elders of the Samoan dynasty.
Solo Sikoa was not sent by the request of anybody from the Bloodline. He was specifically sent to the Bloodline by the elders of the Samoan dynasty, who they have referenced before as the elders being Alpha, Sika, Rikishi, even a light mention of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, The Rock. Basically anybody from the Samoan heritage who came before the Bloodline now is an elder. They sent Solo Sikoa specifically to the Bloodline to be an enforcer for Roman Reigns, to basically take the load off of the Usos. They sent him there to be a part of this faction. It may seem like a small piece, but I find it very interesting, because if the elders sent Solo Sikoa, doesn't that mean they technically can't kick him out? Mind you, nobody's ever been truly kicked out of the Bloodline. Everybody has opted to leave. Jimmy, Jey opted to leave. Sami opted to leave. But if there was a choice there, you can't kick him out because the elders sent him. But it also makes sense on why he was so quick to turn on his brothers. This is Solo Sikoa's only mission in life. He wasn't put on WWE to chase the WWE Championship or to be the next top guy. His sole purpose is to be an enforcer of the Bloodline. And when somebody steps out of line, he's got to handle that shit, because that's his mission. This is why one of the first lines out of his mouth when he gets a microphone in his hand is that he acknowledges the tribal chief.
The elders, they may have sent you, but you answer to me now. Acknowledge me.
I keep messing that up.
Acknowledge you, my tribal chief.
And I think that alone is one of the biggest reasons why we get moments like this, where Roman Reigns bumps into Solo Sikoa, and then he looks very apologetic, like he doesn't want to step to Solo Sikoa. I believe Roman Reigns is almost, I don't want to say at the mercy of the elders where he can't really punish or manipulate, because he doesn't manipulate Solo Sikoa at all. Solo Sikoa just blindly follows him. There's been like 1 or 2 times where he kind of raised his voice like, yo, acknowledge me, and Solo follows through with it. But he's never berated him. He's never challenged him. Anytime he bumps into him, he's very apologetic. I still distinctly remember at Money in the Bank when Solo Sikoa saw Roman Reigns throwing a tantrum, basically crying when one of the Usos kicked out of his spear, and Roman Reigns looked up at Solo Sikoa for reassurance, and he's like, wait a minute, what am I doing? I'm the tribal chief. Let me get my ass back up and get into this match. Or the moment when Solo Sikoa picked up that tribal necklace and Roman Reigns looked very concerned about this, almost worried at first, and then he kind of got his composure and he's like, hey, hand that shit back to me. Call me a fool for believing this, but I firmly believe that Solo Sikoa might have actually been sent by the elders to monitor and watch Roman Reigns at the same time that he's the enforcer. Which is why Roman Reigns doesn't step to him, he doesn't manipulate him, because he knows that Solo Sikoa could probably take him out if the elders so choose to do so. And one of those elders is his father. What if Rikishi shows up to SmackDown one day and Roman Reigns steps up to him? What would Solo Sikoa do? Because Rikishi is not only an elder, but that's his father. He pledges an undying loyalty to Roman Reigns right now because that's his only goal. But if they told him to do otherwise and to take out Roman Reigns, would he take out Roman Reigns? I feel like he would, because that's what he's meant to do. I need y'all to really keep your eye out on Solo Sikoa. I'm going to make a part 2 very soon, but I feel like if that script flips, so will this guy. What do y'all think? Comment down below, let me know.